Good afternoon. We're back with another episode of the Lord of the Rings LCG Progression Series. And today we're going to be talking about the lore and the quest guide for the conflict at the Carrock. Quest right after Hunt for Gollum. So if you recall, so far in the quest we went from Thranduil's Hall down the Anduin to Lorien, over to Dol Guldur, and then searching for Gollum in the Anduin Valley until finding a clue in the Hunt for Gollum quest. And now we are at the Carrock, which is right here. The Shire is off to the west, and Gondor and Mordor are down to the south. The Carrock is not a location featured in any of the books or movies that I know of. The point of this quest isn't to play at an identifiable location, it's an identifiable situation, which is a conflict with 4 trolls. In the book The Hobbit, the characters didn't really get into a conflict with trolls. There was a struggle, but they were forced to delay until sunrise, and then the trolls turned to stone. Not doing that here, we're fighting the trolls. So, in this quest, while searching for Gollum in the Anduin Valley, you receive word that a group of trolls have come to the Carrock. As this area is under the watch of the Beornings, you seek out their leader, Grimbeorn the Old, and discover he has already set out in a rage. You follow, hoping to find him before he confronts the trolls. You approach the Carrock and find that the trolls have been watching you from the top of the Rocky River landmark. As you approach, the trolls close in and attack. So, this quest is not easy. Early in the cycle of the game, the Hunt for Gollum was okay, but this one's not easy. For the setup, you have the 4 trolls out of play, and you have 1 sacked card in your deck, or in the encounter deck somewhere, and you start with the Carrock location in play, but its only purpose early in the game is to contribute threat against you. This is a quest where you want to quest very lightly early in the game. I used Gimli, a buffed Gimli, with the idea being to get some damage on him to increase his attack, and possibly a Citadel Plate, and then more damage on him so that he could swing for large amounts to take down the trolls. You are going to want to stall and set up your board and not quest too much. If you progress to the second phase too quickly, you're going to die. So you stall, you don't quest for too much until you're ready. But you also don't quest, you don't wait so long that you're engaging all the trolls at once. So you need relatively low threat. I would say sub 30 would be good. 29 or so seems fine. I started at 29 in my playthrough of this quest. I made use of Gandalf. I also got lucky and had Beorn come out of the deck. You can have this card if this encounter card comes out. You can also go find him with a location, but if you can get 8 leadership resources on him, which usually requires use of Steward of Gondor, then you can have him come fight with you, and he does not exhaust to defend against trolls, so he's very useful. He can take 3 or 4 or 5 even attacks from a troll without dying. Sometimes more, depending on how much they're attacking for. Typically, when I'm engaging the trolls, I will engage Rupert first. When he attacks, you shuffle all copies of the sacked card from the discard pile back into the encounter deck. That's not that bad. So I'll usually take on Rupert first, and I'll usually try to engage Rupert the same turn that I bring the trolls into play, which is the same turn that I advance in the quest. When you place the 7th progress on phase 1, you make the Carrock the active location, and it gives all trolls +1 and +1. It's not easy, to clear that location out because you're going to have 4 trolls in the staging area. They're going to be contributing 8 threat. So it's not easy to quest for enough to clear this location and deal with whatever encounter cards were already out. And because you don't have infinite time to set up, you've got maybe 4 turns, 4 rounds, maybe. From a practical point of view, you really have about 3. If you start at 29 threat, you need to engage at about 32 threat, because you've got to figure it might take 2 turns to take down one of these trolls, and then you don't want to get 3 all at once. You don't really want to get 2 all at once. So you may not have many turns at all unless you draw threat reduction early. So threat reduction is important in this quest as well, because the main challenge of it is simply to get your board set up while not getting too close to the 34 threat threshold, while 3 or 4 or even 2 trolls are still in the staging area. So you want to build your deck with, my preference is Gimli, but it could be any big damage dealer, although off the top of my head I can't think of any others at this phase in the game if you're playing progression style. It's definitely not an easy quest, but absolutely the key is to stall in phase 1 and set up your board for as long as you can. If you advance to phase 2 and you're not careful about it, you'll lose. So once you've defeated all 4 trolls, I'd like to do Rupert first. The second one, I like Lewis. I like to do him last. After he attacks, you have to raise your threat by 3. That's likely to get you too close to 34 or over 34 very quickly, which would mean you would engage the remaining 2 trolls at once. So after Rupert is done, typically I'll take on Morris or Stewart. Morris is a little easier to take down because plus attack is easier than plus shields. So I'll take on Morris and then Stewart and then Lewis last. That's about it. You can check out the video if you like for an example of how to do it. Like I said, I used Gimli. I think that's the easiest way. But there's no other tricks to this deck, no new mechanics. The only real suggestion I have is stall in phase 1. Stall in phase 1, and you've got to kind of estimate how much time you're going to need to take down a troll. If you look at your board state and figure, okay, I need 2 turns, well then you probably want to engage the trolls at least by the time you hit 32 threat, so that you're not getting 3 trolls at once. Certainly you may have to do 2 at once. That is certainly possible, but you don't want 3. That's probably more than any deck can handle if you're playing progression style. So this is a short quest in terms of what there is to talk about. No new mechanics, not much lore to it. It's designed to mimic, I think, the encounter of Bilbo's party with the trolls and the Hobbit. It's on the harder side. It's not at the level of Dol Guldur, certainly. No quest is. But it'll challenge you a little bit. So, thanks for watching.